Hi and welcome back everybody. Today I want to talk about American exceptionalism, Russia, China and empire. So I don't have anything against if you think that your country is the best, the most beautiful one, and so on. There's nothing bad in it. But you should always be able to identify the good and the bad things that are happening inside of your country and what your country is doing outside of the borders. Because the only thing that you can change your country is if you can also see the bad things. Now, what happens if you only see the good things and you even justify the bad things that your country is doing? Because you're exceptional and therefore good, and therefore everything that your country does to promote those ideas is justified. Well, you see, a lot of Americans don't understand that they aren't the only one in the world who have that exceptional view of themselves. Russians have that view of themselves, and it of course had a long history involving the Tsars, different turmoils, communism, and so on. And they don't view themselves as European or Asian. You know, like the most of the landmass of Russia is in Asia, but most of the population is in Europe. They don't view themselves as European or Asian, they view themselves as Russians. They have their own culture and therefore they're exceptional, which means everything they do is inherently good, which means they should export their ideas. And that's illiberal democracy, prevalent in Russia. And then we go to China. China is located in Asia, but most of the Chinese think that they're exceptional. You heard of it, like the Chinese communist model. And most of the Chinese don't identify themselves as Asian. They're Chinese. They have a long history from the Ming dynasty and everything until today. They're exceptional. Their way is exceptional. And therefore, everything they do is justified and good. And therefore, they should export it to the rest of the world. And now we come to the last part, which is empire. One of the main things that empires shared during history, from the Roman Empire to every other empire, that they would always get into local conflicts. They would choose a side in that conflict and then, of course, support that one side. And if that side wins, they would share the benefits and the one side would suppress the other side. Divide et impera in Latin. But what do you have if you have three countries that think that they're exceptional, that their ideas should be promoted throughout the world? All three countries will, of course, consider themselves empire and also worthy to export their ideas. And there will be conflicts and in different regions throughout the world, as we can see it today. And the second thing that empires also share throughout the history is that they will never allow a country or nation or, like territory to make it to be a superpower. Why? Because it's more easy to go into the conflicts inside of smaller and weaker states to reap the benefits after a conflict. Every country of those three that I mentioned, US, Russia, and China, their main focus is to not allow another country in a region to become a superpower. Because then they would share their spheres of influence not with three, but with four countries. So today's animosities between, the US government and the Chinese government and the Russian government can be fully understood if we look it through the lens of empire. And if we take a longer chunk of history that happened and that formed all of those three nations. So yeah, see ya.